Overall, unfortunately, it is true that the war boosted the innovation specifically in defense tech sector. Today, we have the probably most technological war in the history of the world, as well as the cyber war. And Ukrainian experience in defense tech is probably one of the most, if not the most, progressive in the world right now.
Welcome to Technovation. I'm your host, Peter High. My guest today is Valeriya Ionan. Valeriya is an advisor to the Deputy Prime Minister of Ukraine on innovation, digitalization, and global partnerships. Until May of 2025, and for more than 5.5 years prior, she was the Deputy Minister at the Ministry of Digital Transformation of Ukraine. Valeriya joined the newly established ministry in 2019 at the age of 28. And at the time, she was the youngest Deputy Minister in that government. She is a key leader in aligning with the mission of the Ministry of Digital Transformation to transform Ukraine into the most convenient digital country in the world. Valeriya is also a co-creator of the Diia ecosystem. Of course, her role has coincided with Russia's invasion of the country in February of 2022 and the war that the country continues to be in now. Through the course of the war, her team has been a remarkable source of innovation. I look forward to learning more from her through this conversation. Valeriya, welcome to Technovation. It's great to speak with you today.
Hi, Peter. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, that's a great pleasure. Well, why don't we begin with, as I mentioned a moment ago, your role. You are currently advisor to the Deputy Prime Minister on innovation, digitalization, and global partnerships. Could you take a quick moment to describe your responsibilities?
Sure. So my main role is to help build strong partnerships with other governments, private sector partners, and brightest minds all over the world that could help Ukraine to defend ourselves from the aggressor and to win this war, as well as to make the next economic breakthrough and to continue our growth in digital transformation and innovation.
Very interesting. And previously, as I noted, you were the Deputy Minister at the Ministry of Digital Transformation of Ukraine. How does your current role relate to the prior one?
Well, they are related because in my prior role as the Deputy Minister, I was responsible for several tracks. The development of digital literacy and digital education, the development of SMEs with the help of digital transformation and increasing digital literacy of SMEs, international relations, Euro-integration, regional digital transformation, and innovations. And of course, we have done lots of great reforms, products, and projects, but all of that success wouldn't be possible with great partnerships with other governments and other private sector partners. So there is a lot of things which relate to my today's role.
The ministry has as its goal to make Ukraine into the most convenient digital country, again, as I noted in the introduction, in the world. Take a moment to talk about that goal and as well as the progress you feel you're making towards accomplishing that, please.
Wow, thank you. Well, I think it's very interesting to hear the story on how it all started. And, in 2019, when President Zelensky was elected, he promised to build a state in a smartphone. And as a response to his promise, the Ministry of Digital Transformation of Ukraine was created. And also the new position of a Deputy Prime Minister for Digitalization was created. And the Deputy Prime Minister became Mikhailo Fedorov, who came from the private sector. And he actually invited all our team to join him in this important role as deputy ministers. And from that time, we understood that we need a very concrete vision where we are moving. And since that time, we have the vision to build the most convenient digital state in the world. And everything we do, we try to align with this vision. We ask ourselves, does this product, does this project or service relate, does it bring us closer to our vision? And if the answer is yes, we are doing this. If not, we're trying not to do it. But honestly, over these 6 years, we have done great progress. For example, in the latest e-government development index by UN from 2024, we see that Ukraine ranks as the 5th country in the world in terms of digital public services. Just for comparison, in 2018, we were on 102nd place. So it's like 97 positions up only in 6 years. We also the first in the sub-index for e-participation. And generally in Europe, Ukraine has been called a European digital transformation tiger because of those great reforms that we have been able to provide. We're also the first country in the world where digital passports are totally equivalent to paper or plastic ones. And we have one of the fastest business registrations in the world. And we have really lots of great cases, which I would love to share with you.
Yeah, I would love to hear more about them, certainly. You're the development of this mission, as you noted, is from 2019. It predates the war, of course. And I wonder, to what extent has it changed or been modified as a result of the war taking place? I would imagine in some ways, perhaps it could be an accelerant of some of the mission that you've described. Can you talk a bit about the pre-war and post-war versions of what you and the team have been working on?
Of course, though it is already difficult to remember what was before the invasion, to be very honest. But again, we started the digitalization progress in 2019. Then in 2020, we have created a new position in the Ukrainian government, which is called CDTO, or Chief Digital Transformation Officer. So these people operate on the level of deputy ministers or deputy governors. And that's how we can move really fast with digital transformation on national and regional level. We've also, started to create Diia ecosystem. Diia ecosystem is basically not just a love mark already for Ukrainian citizens, but this is the mix of digital products that help to change the way how government communicates with the citizens. And we started with the state super app Diia. We started with few digital documents and few digital services. And very fast, we've seen that people really love Diia and love how digital services were easy to use. So we continued to develop it, and then COVID started. We had to shift our strategy to create COVID certificate really fast. And then just, like in a year, the invasion started. And from that time, we had really to shift our strategy. Before the invasion, Ukrainians already have been able to pay fines or to pay taxes via state super app. But when the invasion started, we saw a lot of new challenges in Ukraine. And just to give you a few examples, when Russian missiles for the first time started to hit residential areas, people, for the first time in their lives, they went to the shelters. And we quickly understood that they need an access to TV and radio, basically, in order to see the truthful news, what is happening. So we've embedded TV and radio into Diia app. Then a lot of people had to relocate from one region to another. And we have created a service which gave a possibility for a person to receive a special status of IDP, internally displaced person. And then with this status to receive social financial assistance also through Diia, through the state super app. And then, for example, e-recovery, another service which helps to receive financial social support because of for destroyed or damaged property because of Russian aggression. Then we also have created a chatbot, e-enemy, which helped for our Ukrainian citizens to inform our armed forces about Russian troops or Russian equipment. Another great example is, for example, war bonds, the possibility to invest in the country just within a few clicks. So overall, when it comes to the Diia strategy, it actually changed a lot. It also boosted the cooperation with the private sector. Another great example is that just in a few weeks after the invasion started, we have been able, together with the private sector partners, to launch a new app, which is an AI alert app, which gives the possibility for millions of Ukrainian citizens to understand when there is an AI alert and when you have to go to the shelter. And overall, unfortunately, it is true that the war boosted the innovation, specifically in defense tech sector. Today, we have the probably most technological war in the history of the world, as well as the cyber war. And Ukrainian experience in defense tech is probably one of the most, if not the most progressive in the world right now. So we have lots of innovations happening in drones, electronic warfare, unmanned robotic ground platforms, situational awareness systems. So there is also lots of innovation happening in medtech, in AI, in GovTech, in EdTech as well.
Amazing. I thank you so much for sharing those perspectives, Valeriya, and what a remarkable advantage to have set this foundation prior to the war, to be able to now pivot in a variety of innovative directions as you've described. I'd love to, I know you have some additional information you wanted to share with regard to the Diia ecosystem, and as interesting and nuanced and innovative as it is, I'd love to give you a few minutes to share some more details if you would.
Yes, with a pleasure. Thank you so much, Peter, for this opportunity. So basically, the ecosystem has several projects, and basically the core product is our state super app, Diia, which is now used by more than 22 million Ukrainians. It's more than half of the population of Ukraine. We have more than 30 digital documents available and more than 40 digital services. And again, we continue to develop the services all the time. And I will not use this time to explain about every service that we have, but I would say that last year, our online marriage service was featured in 100 best inventions of the year in Time magazine. And what is very interesting about this service is that you could send the proposal via State Super app, you could receive the confirmation, and then you come for the video call and you sign with the digital signatures and you have the certificate of marriage. And as you could see actually from the statistics, which I believe already it's more, there is, you could compare the number of proposals and number of married couples. And that's very interesting because that's exactly a great example how the governmental product could really change the way how to communicate with the citizens. It's an edutainment format as well. So people were just trying, is this service really working? And, people really love Diia because Diia is super user-friendly, it's human-centric, and you could use Diia and receive any service like really quickly, relatively in minutes. And then, for example, we also have the State Portal of Public Services, Diia, with more than 130 services digitized, including the fastest business registration in the world. And then there is also Diia Engine, which is a low-code open source solution which helps ministries and agencies to create state registries fast. So for those of us who are from the tech world, it's like, the WordPress is an engine for creating websites. Diia Engine is an engine for creating the state registries. And it's very important because if you want to digitize services, you need registries. And then we also have Diia City, which is a separate project, which is the best tax regime for IT in Europe with more than 2,000 residents, was launched 2 weeks prior to the full-scale Russian invasion. And today we have Ukrainian and, of course, international companies among our residents. Diia Business, it's a great project for SME support. So you could find anything you need to start or to grow your business in Ukraine. Free consultations, marketplace of financial products, export section, digital maturity section. Anything you need, you could find on this platform, as well as you could also use the network of offline hubs, Diia Business, where you could find clients, partners, investors, and join different educational events. Of course, if we are building the most convenient digital state in the world, it's very important for us that people have at least basic level of digital literacy. And now it's not only digital literacy, it's also AI literacy to be competitive in the world. So now we have Diia Education, which is a national edutainment platform for reskilling and digital literacy. With micro-learning format, with bite learning format, interactive simulators. And this year we are launching AI Navigator and AI Assistant to make the educational process even more personalized. So this is the platform for everyone, starting from scholars and, to people of elegant age who would like to learn digital skills and AI skills as well. We also have CDTO Campus. So this is the place where we prepare the next generation of digital leaders for public service. So I'm joking, I'm saying that this is like an MBA for future digital ministers. And we have put all the experience that we have over these 6 years into the programs that we are teaching. So this is a pretty a new project. It's only 1 year and a half, but we already have more than 1,000 alumni for short, midterm, and long-term programs. And all of these people will continue work in the government or in municipalities, specifically in digital transformation. Of course, the next big thing is Diia. I believe I missed a very important thing, that Diia is translated as an action, and Diia is translated as a dream. So Diia, it's an educational app. We just recently finalized the pilot with 1,000 users in 40 schools, and starting from the 1st of September, we will be implementing this product in 2,000 schools. So basically, the main idea is that this is an app and a platform which will be AI based and which will help to provide this personalized education, and also to help teachers to focus more on educational process rather than on organizational stuff. We generally believe that we have to rethink and kind of reinvent the educational system, because today we have lots of challenges in Ukraine. We have knowledge gaps, we have shortage of teachers because of the invasion, and we believe that technology, and specifically AI, could help us solve this problem. We also understand there is a lot of challenges and concerns. So we are on this track, and we are, I would say, piloting lots of things, but we really believe that the solution might be there. And just also to give you another view on how we are thinking about our economy, we believe that Ukraine has an opportunity to make the economic breakthrough with innovations. And last year in December 2024, the government of Ukraine has adopted the Ukrainian innovation strategy, Win-Win, which has 3 pillars. The first pillar is basically about, I would say, some fundamental things, promoting STEM education in schools, science parks, and universities. It's about strengthening the existing infrastructure and improving management of innovation at the national level. The second part is about creating the most favorable conditions for innovative businesses in Ukraine. And the third pillar is about priority sectors where Ukraine has to invest in order to make the next economic leap. And those sectors you could see right now on the slide. And the main idea here is that when the invasion started, we understood that, and our team, under the leadership of Mikhailo Fedorov, understood that we really have to turn to our local producers, drone producers. At that time, we had only 7 drone producers in Ukraine. And over the next few months, our team has made changes into more than 30 different legislative acts and resolutions, and we have made the procedure for procurement easier, procedure for exploitation easier. We have created special zones for testing. So we basically call this list of actions as the policy of opening the market. And as a result of this policy, in 2023, we already had more than 100 drone producers. In 2024, more than 300. As of 2025, we have more than 500 drone producers. So from 7 to more than 500 in 3 years. And here we're talking just, for example, about drones. I'm not talking about some other tracks which also have been developing. And it's not just about the product which Ukraine needs so much on the battlefield to defend ourselves, but it's also about working places, and it's about export potential, especially in terms of the dual use potential, for example, of drones. So the idea of this third pillar is to replicate the same approach to other sectors. And we also, we already have started to do it, and we have some really great results. But I believe that if we would meet in a year, I would have more concrete pilots to share with you. And of course, we also have the Brave One Defense Tech Cluster, which works as the bridge or facilitator between the government and private sector companies. And I believe that this is a really great example of how government should cooperate with the private sector. And this is a two-way street. When private sector has some concrete challenges or gaps, they could turn to Brave One, and they could provide the government with concrete recommendations what to do, and vice versa. When the government sees a concrete problem, the government can turn to Brave One and ask to provide or to gather producers in order to find the new new innovation, or we call it word changer or game changer. And that's how we are actually working. And also Brave One is probably the biggest venture investor in Ukraine, because it gives a lot of grants to startups in defense tech and also in other tracks. And that's how we really have a good growth over the past few years in this sphere. We also very proud that last year there was the second in the world Global Government Technology Center was opened in Kyiv by World Economic Forum. For us, it's a great signal that we are doing something right and that we could share, our experience. As well as we also have launched a great platform, which is called Digital State UA. So it's a media platform about everything what is happening in GovTech, tech, and IT in Ukraine. So this is like super briefly. Of course, we have lots of other great and interesting projects, and I will be glad to share more information with you.
Valeriya, with incredible examples, and thank you so much for sharing those, and congratulations on the remarkable progress you and the team have already made. And indeed, I hope in a year we can speak again to hear about progress that continues between now and then. Talk a bit about, if you would, the process of developing these ideas. So many creative ideas in a variety of different areas, many of them firsts or rare, shall we say, for governments to be implementing. Talk a bit about the process of ideation, the idea development, and how you and your team, in partnership clearly with a broad ecosystem, helps devise the ideas such as the ones you've just described.
Wow. Well, all ideas, they go from the problem, right? So in our case, we have lots of challenges in Ukraine, and I believe we will be trying to find the solutions for years and years. But when it comes to the process itself, so there are deputy ministers or there are project managers in our team who are responsible for a particular sphere, a particular field and policies. So they understand what number of challenges do they have and what is the type of this challenge. Is this challenge a legislative challenge where you need the approach of creative bureaucracy? Is this challenge is more, let's say, of a product challenge? So there is no kind of one-stop shop, or there is no one to reach out to for the citizens to help them solve their problem. Is this problem is more on communication side? So, for example, everything is already in place, but for some reason people don't know about it. So they all have this list of challenges that they have to cope with, but also in the same time, an important thing here is prioritization of what challenge do we solve in the first priority, right? So deputy ministers, or in some cases, it could be project managers or directors for directors, they are working on that. And then we have the meeting, which is called the board. I believe there is lots of, it's a great practice in the corporate sector, for example, when the board is chaired by the deputy prime minister. So we are coming and basically pitching the challenges and solutions. And over this conversation, we discuss how do we tackle them, who is responsible, and then we have a very concrete business process which is in place that we act accordingly to it. So, for example, if we understand that this product will be implemented to solve the concrete challenge, then we start with legislation, with the analysis, with drafting the legislation. In parallel, we start with the development, and then, how it happens. And then we basically start with the beta testing, and then we just launch it. So this is how the process goes on. When it comes to ideation more deeply, it happens in teams, and of course it depends from the leader of the team. They have different approaches. Some are using the design thinking methodology. Some are just, have the ideas that they are discussing in their teams. And I believe this difference between different leadership and the management approaches is very important to have the right dynamics in the team, because then you will have lots of different projects and solutions. You will have them on the table.
Really fascinating. You talked a lot about also across the conversation, the partnership between government and the private sector. You've also referred to the global partnerships that help bring to life what you've described as well. Can you talk a bit about those global partnerships, the form they take, how you engage the private sector inside the country, but also more broadly outside the country as well?
Well, sure. So, of course, there is a separate track of our work with governments who support us and who have been great, I would say, not just strategic partners, but great friends to Ukraine, especially during the times of the full-scale Russian invasion. We have different types of partnerships, of course, the MOUs, which explain the concrete projects and the concrete interests from both sides on some particular topics, for example, working on state super apps or working on tackling the challenge of digital literacy, etc., etc. There is also a great track of working with private sector partners, specifically with big tech, let's say with Google, AWS, Microsoft, Cisco, Palantir, and other companies who are supporting Ukraine, ASAP, for example, in absolutely different spheres and in different projects. We believe that, innovation comes mainly from the private sector. And if we want to be the most digital country in the world, and if we want to innovate, we have to, and we want to partner with those who have better expertise, with those who have those innovations and who can help us and guide us in some concrete direction. So this cooperation might happen in absolutely different formats, starting with mutual product teams and development of concrete products and solutions, or it could be the support which is given to the specific product, or it can be a specific program which from the company which aimed to boost digital transformation in Ukraine. For example, there is the country digital acceleration program from one of the big tech companies, which is working in 50 countries, and Ukraine is also a part of this program. And with this access, we could create pilots, we could test different innovations, we could strengthen our digital infrastructure, etc. There is also great initiatives on the national level or international level, like, for example, Tallinn Mechanism, which is the coalition of 12 countries, which was created to support Ukraine in terms of cybersecurity for critical infrastructure. So it's basically sharing the expertise, but also supporting financially and supporting by funding the concrete programs in Ukraine for cybersecurity. So there is like the global partnerships. What is really interesting about that is that you don't have the ceiling here. You could do lots of different great things as long as those things are on the win-win track and there is a concrete benefit for both sides and both sides see the value and the impact of this partnership. So my role and why I really love it, it's to find those things which would connect and unite us and which would help, if this solution works in Ukraine now, during war in such terrible conditions, and helps millions of Ukrainians, 100% that this solution will also work everywhere else in the world and help solve all other solutions, all other problems as well. Because lots of countries, unfortunately, they are in crisis already, but a lot of them, they just don't understand they are already there. And, it is very important to be prepared for what comes next. And that I can say from my personal experience, because when you are not prepared, believe me, it's really hard to understand what to do and to make, to live in a short-term perspective. We will for over these few years, we had to live with kind of a short-term planning, and while other governments they have the planning perspective for 5, 7, 10 years, which is of course understandable and probably it's right. But at the same time, with the speed of how fast the world is changing, how turbulent the world is, and how fast the technology is evolving, when we every day see something new happening, Either it could be in AI or in science, or anywhere else. You just have to catch up. That's really important, to have those partnerships and to strengthen each other, and maybe even to give some advice in the right time.
Yes. Well, I mean, it is said, perhaps as you've heard, necessity is the mother of invention. Obviously, this is a period of great necessity, but remarkable to see the inventions that have come about as a result of it. I wonder, where do you go for inspiration? So much of what is fascinating about your role is the mria, the dream, and then the Diia, putting it into action, as I believe you would define each of those. Where do you go to dream, so to say? Where do you, what sort of resources do you use in order to have your mind tuned towards new inventions that might be solutions to the problems that you see?
Well, I admire Singularity University, and I love, reading Singularity Hub. I'm buying the courses from them and listening to different podcasts. Of course, I'm reading lots of great authors on Substack. I read different media, for example, Sifted, which is a European media for about startups. I love what Dubai Future Institute is doing. They have some really great reports on meta trends. And, this is where I have the opportunity to plunge into what future might bring us. And it helps me to rethink everything what I do and come with some great ideas. So this is really where I get this inspiration. I also read I try to read, I would not say lots of books, but I try to read the books which I like. And again, right now, they're all about AI, education, and biotech, also defense tech. These are topics which I believe, these spheres, I believe they will have a great boost in the next few years. So I want to understand them better, and I want to bring this experience to Ukraine, and to help Ukraine to make this economic leap with this new great ideas and startups which could potentially develop the new solutions in these spheres. That's why we have this win-win innovation strategy, and we are now working closely with different associations in Ukraine, startup associations, Ukrainian Startup Fund. We are doing and planning lots of grant programs, new ones. We plan to open centers of excellence, which would help us to implement specific pilots in order to understand whether this technology is working or not. It's very interesting. It's very exciting.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier in our conversation the creation of the Chief Digital Transformation Officer role, and now multiple of them in place. Can you share, and as well as the seniority that these roles have within the government structure, can you talk a little bit further about the constitution of these roles, as well as the sorts of people who have taken them on?
Well, wow. So that's... I believe that you would love to hear from me the profile of this person, but in fact, they are all coming from different industries. And I believe the thing that is uniting all of them is that they're coming mostly from the private sector, and they are good managers with the understanding of IT and tech. However, when you are coming and you're joining the government for the first time, you need to understand that you will spend from 6 to 12 months understanding how government works. So actually, that's why we've created this CDTO campus, to help make an onboarding easier for CDTOs, as well as to show people from private sector who could potentially consider joining the government on what is waiting for them. So the good CDTO is a good manager who has great managing skills, vision, what to do at this position, because they will have lots of things to cope with, and they would need to understand what digital transformation will help me to achieve in this particular field, whether it would be education, social policy, agriculture, etc. So, and it could be very different tasks. Or, for example, CDTO of a region, when they are responsible for not for all of the spheres, but in one region. So they have to be good managers. They have to be visionaries. They have to be good communicators to build partnerships and to have lots of so-called ambassadors in their institution who would support and not block digital transformation.
Very interesting. Thank you for that overview. I want to also ask you, talk a bit more about your pathway to the roles that you've had. As I mentioned, at quite an early age, such a remarkable role of influence. Can you talk a bit about your background and your pathway to taking on these great responsibilities 6 years ago?
Yes. Well, I never planned to join the government. I don't have any political ambitions. I didn't have them before joining the government, and I don't have them now. But before joining, of course, I had different roles in different private sector companies. And then I launched my own company. I was an entrepreneur. Together with my partners, we've launched a company that provided services on directions, marketing team on demand, sales team on demand, finance, and HR. And they were all related to marketing, communications, also digital, IT development, etc. And I would say that other deputy ministers who also joined the team, they also, almost all of them, except one, they also came from private sector, from their own businesses. And, the reason why I've joined, basically the deputy prime minister invited me as well as other team members. The reason why I've joined the government at that time, because everyone wanted and felt that there is a change in the air. And there is a great opportunity to make something really impactful and something that you would be really proud of, something that you would use by yourself as a citizen and you would be proud because this is, something that your government have provided. And digital transformation, I personally believe that if we are talking, of course, about the times of war, the defense and Ministry of Defense is the most important track, but generally digital transformation helps to do so many things. It helps to increase governance efficiency. It helps to make the communication with citizens easier and helps citizens to optimize time. It helps you to take data-based or data-driven solutions when you want to understand what should be the right way. It helps you to innovate in different spheres. It helps you to connect. It is something that goes as a red line and connects all of the ministries, agencies, and regions, and it helps government to work more efficient. So that's why I really was very excited about it, and I'm very happy that I took this challenge. Though I never could imagine that it will be COVID, and I never ever could imagine that that would be the full-scale Russian invasion that we also have to deal with. But I'm so proud of our team, and I'm very proud of our deputy prime minister, who is now the first deputy prime minister, who have been personally doing lots of putting a lot of his energy and knowledge into make things happen. And as you know, going through the walls whenever needed. Now we can see that Ukrainians love Diia, Ukrainians love digital transformation. And moreover, lots of other countries want to learn from Ukraine. And the perception of Ukraine in the world now is also changing step by step. Now lots of countries understand that if you would ask someone who is the most digital state in the world, of course, lots of answers you would hear about our great friends from Estonia or from Singapore, but you would also hear about, from UK, for example, but you would also hear about Ukraine. And I think this is really great.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Just remarkable the progress you continue to make. And I just hearing the stories you have told certainly gives one a sense of the hope that you feel as well during a very difficult time, of course, for your country. I wanted to see if, as you reflect upon where things stand now, what are your sources of inspiration and hope as you look forward?
I believe that innovation can help us to win the war on the battlefield. I believe that innovations could help us increase the quality of life for our people. And I believe that innovation could help us with all of the challenges which we have on the side of human capital. I believe that innovation and digital transformation can help our government be more efficient in a good way, and we're already doing that. I believe that moving from digital state to agentic state is the future, where a lot of things and a lot of unnecessary things, I would say, a lot of routine will be optimized, and we would have a lot of time to spend to some other things. And even during these very difficult times of war in Ukraine, for me, it's my native country that I really love, and I believe that Ukraine has a great potential. So my hope is to continue work hard in order to see the independent, strong, prosperous, innovative Ukraine that we all are building. That's my biggest hope.
Wonderful. What a beautiful vision that is. For Valeriya, for people who are listening or watching this who might wish to contribute in some way, is there a way that you would suggest that they do so?
Of course, there is the United 24. This is the international fundraising platform, and also the United 24 Media, which explains what is happening in Ukraine on a daily basis. So I would encourage to look at this platform, but also I would encourage just to reach out directly on LinkedIn, on Instagram, or on any other social media. I'm trying to answer over like 2 or 3 days, and I would be happy to connect.
Oh, nice. Well, Valeriya, thank you for this very inspirational conversation, for sharing so much of the remarkable work that you and your team and your government and your country are doing, especially at this time. It's a remarkable story, and I'm so honored that you would tell it here.
Thank you very much for your invitation and for your time. And thank you to all of your listeners for spending time for this conversation and for supporting Ukraine, of course.
That's a